Good morning, everyone. The Delaware County Commissioner meeting for March 18th, 2024 is now in session. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning, everyone. I'm President of the board this year, and to my right is Vice Chair Barb Lewis, and with us today is our Deputy Administrator Don Houston, and of course our clerks Brandy and Jennifer. Let's begin.
Resolution number 24-207, in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held March 14th, 2024.
So moved.
Second, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 24-207. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
We do not have any one signed up to speak for public comment today, but we do have some other business today.
Yeah, we've added something to the program today. First of all, the governor declared a state of emergency over the weekend in 11 counties, those counties being Auglaize, Crawford, Darke, Delaware, Hancock, Licking, Logan, Mercer, Miami, Richland, and Union. And Commissioner Lewis had a great idea about bringing people affected in our county here and have them talk about the issues we faced last Thursday evening. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Lewis and let her kind of lead.
Sure. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone coming on such short notice, and you all have had a rough few days. So appreciate your coming in and giving us a background on what happened in your communities and where you stand now. Some of the collaboration that I've heard that's already taken place. So, is there anyone here from Sunbury? Okay. I am going to start with the Mayor of Galena, please. Mayor Kimmel. And if you would just introduce yourself and...
The other gentleman?
Jeff Kennel, I'm the mayor of Galena, and this is Tim Erb. Tim is our head of safety and security, which is a committee we just initiated in January, with 2 meetings under our belt, and then we got hit with this lovely event. Tim was just amazing. He's a retired firefighter, and he leads this committee. So a lot of our interaction with both the EOC and the sheriff and the fire, Tim led for us. So I wanted to have him here this morning.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming.
I didn't really prepare anything. We've been quite busy. So one thing I'd like to know, first of all, we appreciate the opportunity to be here, but one thing I'd like to know is you have specific questions. I can give you a little bit of an overview of the events of the weekend if you'd like.
Yes.
You know, if there's anything you'd like to know specifically, we'd be happy to address it.
Sure. Why don't you start with the overview of what happened in Galena?
Well, real quickly, Thursday night, we started getting calls initially from our fire chief, Chief Kovac, indicating that we had a more severe situation than I had realized Thursday evening. So we started to assemble the team. We got our team together. I took the approach of moving from my home down Dustin Road to Old 3 into the square. Turns out that was the only route in and out that night. We had confirmed, I think, 2 confirmed touchdowns. One was in our campground, which we can talk about here in a second, and one in the old village. Thursday night, there was no ability to get all our arteries in and out of the village were closed. We had trees down, power lines down. We were fortunate to have both Sunbury Police and Genoa Police closed down Route 3 into the village, but we took the responsibility of closing the other side of the village and then creating a loop so people could that were trying to get home that night. Many folks were trying to get home from all communities around us, just any way they could get home. So they thought, well, I can't get this way, we'll go through Galena, and they weren't gonna get anywhere in Galena either. So we had set up cones, and we'd set up a way for people to kind of make a loop right back out to where they came from. We had, I think, a couple of volunteers show up from the community. We had also our council and Tim and others directing traffic to something like 2 a.m. Then we went out to the campground. The campground was devastated. We have something like 200.
Jeff, where is the campground?
It's the Berkshire Campground. It's off of Old Galena Road. Galena Road.
Okay, okay.
There's about 250 or so residents, permanent residents there, living in motorhomes, trailers, things of that nature. They had a direct hit. And the devastation was hard to see in the dark at night. Our fire crew was there. We walked with them as we went door to door, knocking on doors. By the grace of God, we found no injuries, no significant injuries, and no loss of life, which is hard to believe when you go
Yes.
through there. Representative Lear showed up on Friday morning. I asked the folks that were there at the village hall that morning if we couldn't assemble in teams of 2 and start knocking on doors. So we could go up and down our streets and just find out where people were they okay, what was the damage. So Beth Lear helped in that effort, walking up and down those streets. We had an assessment of the damage at that point in time, and it was really, I think, heartwarming to find out that our residents were so resilient. They're already out starting to clean up. So that was a lot of the effort on Friday. Friday morning, streets were still closed, power lines are still down. Our friends, neighbors to the northeast, south, and west were helping us, started to jump in. Genoa Township showed up without even being asked with heavy equipment, with their maintenance crew. Berkshire Township came as well.
Genoa showed up with a
Yeah.
small army on our doorstep.
Yeah. And thankfully, because of that help, our streets were cleared by the end of the day.
Oh, my gosh, that's great.
So we could start to have traffic moving again. And then on Saturday, we convened council. We had an emergency session. I should say I declared an emergency on Friday. We had an emergency session of council on Saturday morning. And at that point, we said, hey, the major issues that we had faced in terms of traffic and power lines and the danger of having those things down had passed. Now we wanted to turn our attention to helping our residents. So we allocated funds to start helping residents with the cleanup of their the fallen trees and things of that nature, which is still really significant. It's still a significant problem in both locations. You want to add, Tim, what I haven't suggested?
The only thing I would add is, early in the afternoon, Director McCarthy had called a meeting at the sheriff's office of everybody that was, he led all the agencies in areas that have been impacted, as well as people that represent resources. Updated one another, they shared information. That was at 1 o'clock on Friday, and we went from there to the Emergency Operations Center, which, essentially the war room. And the things that we were able to accomplish under Alex's direction were impressive.
Boy, that's.
We had everything, at least as Galena, respect to Galena's needs, we were up and running almost full speed, less than 24 hours after the event. By 5:30 Friday afternoon, the shelter was open. We had electricity, our roads were open. Still working on some technology infrastructure, but other than that, we were, the biggest, worst part of the event had been resolved, so.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you.
Beth and a few of us toured the campground on Saturday. The Red Cross was there, set up on Friday morning. providing food and shelter and support to the campground. That continues through today. Then that will end. We have initiated a food drive within the village so that we can collect provisions and somehow through the process continue to support those folks out there as best we can. And that's kind of the summary. If it wasn't for our neighbors, I'm not sure we would have been up and running that fast. It might have been another 24, 48 hours before we had the streets cleared. It's hard to imagine the size of some of these trees that came down. I mean, we had trees turned, they weren't just snapped, some of them were turned from the tornado. And this was, I think, confirmed F1/F2. This wasn't even the big boys, right?
Right.
So
right.
it was pretty devastating for a lot of our residents. Again, a lot of them still have a lot of recovery to do. And any help we can provide, I think, removing trees, helping them get their yards cleared and things of that nature will be continued to do probably for at least another week or more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor, I think the thing that most impressed me with your comments was the fact that you had those around you volunteering without being asked.
Yeah.
That says a lot about our neighbors.
Yeah, we have a lot to be thankful for, and especially that God was graceful to us, that we didn't have any loss of life.
Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh, yes,
Yeah.
you're so right.
Not a single injury was reported either.
Yeah.
I think next, if you could even stay around, we're gonna have, we will take trustee DeTillo from Berkshire, and then trustee O'Brien from Berlin.
If I may for a moment, I would like to publicly recognize the mayor for his leadership in this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we are gonna have the head of our EMA, Alex McCarthy's here, and also then our county engineer. And that way, if anyone has any questions, I'm sure Alex and Chris will be able to handle those questions. Trustee, thank you, and thanks again for coming in.
Morning, I'm Mike DeTillo, excuse me, trustee with Berkshire Townships, Tyler Lane, our administrator. Our night started at 10 p.m. also. Tyler called me and said we need to get some road closure dividers over to 3C and Walnut Street in Galena. He got a call from BST&G from the chief. When we pulled out, we noticed Rome Corners Road was closed off, and at that time, we didn't have a clue as how bad things actually were. So when we got there, not only was Rome Corners Road, but 3C was closed down there towards Dustin. So we decided to backtrack, and we went to Rome Corners and talked to BST&G there. And then we kind of went into Cheshire Woods, and they got hit really hard. A lot of trees down, house damaged. So we started driving our own roads, and one thing that we know is Alexander Road and Joe Walker Road are our two worst roads. There's trees on both sides everywhere. So we went down Alexander Road, and that was really bad because the trees were down on the lines. And BST&G, I think, was already there, weren't they? Or we had to call them, one of the two. But one of the things that we noticed every time we went down one of our roads, we're like, here comes lights, and it was always BST&G, and they were everywhere. And they were just awesome. And every time Tyler called the chief, he always answered. He had his command center, and they were there for us. They just seemed to be everywhere. So power lines down. We tried everything we could do to get to Dustin Road. We never did make it. Tried to get through Galena. We tried to go around the subdevelopments where there was a power line down on Old 3, and one of the Sunbury policemen was standing over it with his car, and so we went around, and by the time we got around him to go into Galena, it was closed off there, so we had to backtrack. And one of the things we did was we went to 3B and K Road to try to check it out. And when we went down 3B and K, we noticed a whole row of pine trees down. You could see them from the distance, and when we got up close, we noticed there was a car in the trees. We didn't know if the trees had come down on the car or the car that drove into it, but luckily there was no one in there, and we found out there was no injuries there either. But one of the things that we were amazed at was the next morning when Tyler and I went to check it out when we drove our roads, because our maintenance guys ended up, Jeff needed the help in Galena, so we sent them over there, and they were cutting up one of the big, large trees that went down on the line on Harrison Street. So our maintenance guys ended up there with a front end loader, and we ended up, one of the things too is I want to make clear is we also ended up at the administration building in Galena. And what was really a really cool sight to see was the new mayor and the former mayor there working together for the people. And so, you know, when you see things like that, you know that everybody is there to help. So anyway, Genoa was there in Galena. So, you know, that was pretty much our night. Tyler, if you want to add anything, but I really want to impress upon BST&G, because like I say, every time we went down a road, there was BST&G, and we called Tyler. I noticed every time he called, the chief answered. So it was a good night, you know, in a bad situation. You know, it just, everything worked out well. So it's really great to be part of something like that, that everything went pretty well. One thing that I'd like to say is Tyler and I are going to basically go into one thing we noticed when we gave them our road dividers. Sometimes we realized we didn't have any more for our own roads, and we gave up our cones too. So we are going to take an inventory of what we need into the future to be even more ready for any other disaster that comes along in the future. So Tyler, if you want to add anything, it was.
I'd just like to mention it was great to have a trustee who would show up at 10 p.m. right after a tornado and a thunderstorm to come help out, as well as one of our maintenance staff who could make it to come out and spend 5-6 hours Thursday night. I think it's a great staff to have, great trustee to have. And it was also great the next day on Friday seeing the community come together. As we drove through specific township roads, through subdivisions, you could see neighbors helping neighbors, everyone getting together, people not pointing fingers, not asking who's going to do something, everyone coming together, clearing brush, clearing trees, and everyone, I guess, just working to make sure everyone was okay. And that was something great to see come out of a terrible situation.
Oh, gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
So appreciate your coming in. Stick around if you can, just a
Okay.
few minutes.
Yeah,
if you have any
we have a
questions, too.
proclamation
Yeah.
or at the end of, resolution at the end of the meeting that will, regarding this issue.
Sure, sure. And now from Berlin, Trustee O'Brien.
Thank you, President Merrill, Vice President Lewis. I come before you with gratitude and admiration for the extraordinary response and the collaboration witnessed among all the agencies, the county, the townships, and a variety of other entities. I was actually surprised at how responsive AEP was in this situation, because with 6 major towers coming down, those power lines cutting access to, we were cut off from Berlin Middle School, Berlin High School, Cheshire Elementary, because Cheshire Road was closed by the power lines across the road. Pyatt Road was closed, Glenmead was closed, Preston Fields was closed, Berlin Station was closed, and then because power lines going across the railroad tracks, the railroad track was closed because of the train stop, because they couldn't go past other lines, although those were local lines, not the high tension. So when the fire alarm came in at Berlin Middle School, that was rather disconcerting because the firemen couldn't get there. Fortunately, it wasn't really a fire that needed to be dealt with. It was either put out, extinguished, or it was a false alarm. It could have been either based on their mechanicals. But anyway, the working together, the collaboration among all the entities was profound, and I want to thank everybody. And if I get off my notes, I'll forget somebody, but I first and foremost want to express my appreciation to Alex McCarthy and the Emergency Management Agency, their team for exemplary leadership and coordination throughout the crisis, their collaborative efforts with the neighboring townships, and for Berlin, it was particularly Orange Township that came and helped us in our time of need. I know Michelle Bonney, who is their administrator, called and said, "What do you need?" And we couldn't get overwhelmed because you can get too many people. And I said, for right now, we need a chipper and we need 2 men. And poof, they were there within 20 minutes. So we needed to get the roads cleared so that people could drive through because roads were blocked. For Berlin Township, our roads that were blocked were Cheshire Road in 2 places. So the causeway was closed because of the power lines, the local power lines that went into the reservoir. And of course, the high tension lines. Pyatt Road was closed, Glidmead, Preston Fields, Berlin Station, Africa Road, Thompson Road. And so there had to be communication among all the agencies so that the fire safety and the EMS could get to where they needed to get. And we also needed the roads crew to know where they could get to so they could know where to attack the problem first. So I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the 911 department, EMS, the sheriff's office, Berlin Township's fire department, Berlin Township's road department. Of all the departments that got overworked, it was really the roads department because they needed to get there, clear the roads so that the other emergency agencies could take action. The county engineer's office was very busy on their own roads because those roads that just so happened of Berlin Township's major roads that needed cleared was Berlin Township road, or county roads, such as Berlin Station, Lackey Old State, and Cheshire Road in 2 places. And so they were very busy and they were coordinating. And so I just want to emphasize that that collaboration that we've been working on throughout the time, creating plans, allowed the implementation of the plans, which mitigated the problems. So to my knowledge, nobody was seriously hurt. Nobody was put in danger because of our plans. So I want to reiterate my appreciation for EMA and the planning that goes in effect. All those years that we, I was on the EMA board when I was the county commissioner. All those years we're doing all those plans and thinking, oh, we're spending a lot of time for something we hopefully never need. Well, sometimes you actually need it, and so it's good to have them. And so it's money well spent, although it's something in the future, and you hope, and I still hope, we never use it again.
Yeah.
But I also want to thank, like I said, AEP. They were very communicative. In the past, I've been critical in emergency situations. But in this situation, I've gotten more emails, more phone calls. They were not only reactive, but they were proactive. So they were dealing with things. They were a little bit in helping and coordinating. So for this one time, I'm going to say hats off to AEP. But I'll reserve in the future if they don't keep that up. But you have to give credit where credit's due, and it's due to them in this situation. But I also want to express deep gratitude to individuals and organizations that contributed to the response. So we had local pastors that would do a generation drive. So AEP was very responsive in action, but they would not tell us how long it would take. And that was concerning for a variety of reasons. People have life-saving equipment that they need electricity to. So when the pastors went out and collected generators for those who were really in need, not convenience, but need, that was very helpful. And there was concern that through back channels I got that if AEP could do certain things, that electricity would be back fairly soon. And it did, and that was very, very good. And if it wasn't, it could have been weeks. And it was dependent on certain things out of people's control. And so fortunately, those generators were only needed for a short period of time. But they were there in case it was a long term. So I do appreciate the pastors putting in that effort. And people opening up their homes to other people who really didn't have a place to stay that night because their house was partially missing. I also want to thank my other two trustees. We all have our strengths and our, I'll call it specialties. And so in this particular situation, and I tell you, I rely on them more than they rely on me, but in this particular situation, they let me run with it because of my experience with EMA and EMS and emergency in general, and I'm the fire liaison for Berlin Township. So they let me coordinate things, and things run smoothly because we have that collaboration in the past and that trust with one another, and that is just so important. And we've built these relationships with other townships like Berlin and Berkshire. Now, Berkshire had their own issues, so we didn't go there. But Orange was absolutely great, and I know that others were very willing to help if we needed. But like I said, too much help at too soon can cause people to be on top of each other. So they had the equipment that we needed in response and the number of people. I have much more, but that's enough. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a perfect segue into our county engineer and giving us some, an overview of all that you and your team were doing. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to all of you for coming today.
Good morning. I'm joined at the podium by Mike Love, our Chief Deputy of Operations. Mike has been the head of our operations department for 3 months. And he's handed probably what was one of the most difficult set of circumstances that's been handed to us for years at our office.
About the same length as the mayor of Galena.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so hopefully we didn't scare Mike off, but I did want to come and recognize his work and the work of our employees in responding to a difficult situation. We had the people called in the midst of the storm and didn't send them out until until the warning had cleared, so that we weren't putting them in danger in that situation, but they responded very quickly. We initially had 10 county roads that were officially closed with signs and barricades because of down power lines and heavy debris. Those folks worked through the night on Thursday night. Our full force came in early on Friday morning. We put snow plows on the front of our dump trucks and used those to push debris off the roadway. Not what they're intended for, but it was a good use of the equipment and resources that we have. The day was spent really not so much cleaning up, but pushing things out of the way so that the roads were open, so that the emergency responders could get through, so people could get in and out of their homes, and so that the utilities could get to their downed lines. You've heard a lot of discussion about the coordination with AEP. I'd like to echo that. Mike and their folks have been in constant contact about the status of their projects. It's pretty remarkable to think that those giant transmission towers are on the ground. I never thought I'd see that happening, and it's not just that they were uprooted and tipped over, they were ripped apart, and tells you something about the forces of nature that we're dealing with. So we have people out now starting to pick up what's alongside of the roads and take that to recycling. Right now, we're picking up vegetation, so trees and brush and those kind of things. It's probably worth mentioning one of our good corporate citizens in the county is Price Farms Organics, and they're taking all of that material there for recycling and reuse, which is something good that can come out of all this. So we're down to one road still closed at this point. That's Penn Road in the southwestern part of the county because of power lines, and that should be open on Thursday. So can't say enough about how our employees stepped up and how all the other agencies stepped up, and in the end, we did what we should do. That's why we're here, is to do these things, and our folks did that, and so many others did that, and the coordination from EMA and the sheriff really deserve the lion's share of credit for the cooperative coordination of all of our efforts. And in closing, I just wanted to also say that we're here talking about all the things that we did, but the best part about all this, probably the most touching part for me about all this, is all the things that individuals did for each other, of people helping people in difficult times and reaching out and just being kind and generous and caring for each other. And those stories are perhaps the best advertisement for our community, the kind of people that we have who care about one another and care about this community we live in. So with that, I don't know if, Mike, did I miss anything that we need to? Okay. If you have any questions for us, we're glad to answer those, and thanks to everybody who did their job.
Thank you so much. Boy, you certainly got a baptism by fire, didn't you, Mike? Oh my gosh.
Before we bring Alex back up, can I make a couple of comments?
Sure.
We were all affected by this in a lot of ways. I was at a township meeting Thursday evening, as a number of people in this room were, and I remember Trustee O'Brien yelling something across the parking lot. Little did we know in 30, 45 minutes, everything's going to be changing for us. We thought we were trying to get ahead of the lighting and get home at the thunder. But I'm impressed with the number of people that were mentioned by name. Mayor Love, the current mayor mentioned the former mayor. I assume he's referring to Mayor Love. And Beth Lear, our representative who represents that area, and Michelle Bonney, who's the administrator in Orange, and of course everybody in Orange that was involved. AEP, when I heard we lost our electricity and we didn't get it back till about 10 o'clock Friday morning. I'm surprised we got it back that quickly. When you hear 6 towers are down, and you think nobody could expect or anticipate all of this. And so everybody worked well together, and I even had somebody call and say, hey, do you need a place to put your food? And but fortunately, we didn't have to go that far because electricity came on about 10 o'clock. But neighbors being neighbors. Comments regarding Genoa, comments regarding Orange, BST&G, 911, EMS, EMA. Just go down the list. All the people being good neighbors, doing what they can to help in a situation nobody could anticipate, says a lot about our county, but I'm guessing the same scenario played out in every other county as well. And that says something about the good that we all are capable of and that we do. And kudos to everybody who's involved, and kudos to everybody who played a role in it. With that, I think we'll bring Alex up? Or?
Yes, that sounds great.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alex McCarthy, Director of Emergency Management for the county. Our night started pretty much during the Township Association meeting last Thursday. Some colleagues of mine, a couple colleagues of mine in the western part of the state were messaging me about some of the things they were dealing with. So at that point, I asked Scott if he could meet me back at the office, and we kind of mustered over there in preparation for the storms because it was pretty clear that they were not going to lose steam as they moved through our county. I really want to draw attention to the 911 dispatchers in this county because they did a lot of phenomenal things that night. About a half hour before the storms went into our county, I got a heads up that the county to our west actually was having trouble with their dispatching because of a direct hit from a tornado. And around that same time, I found that our dispatchers here were actually staffing our backup site as well, because we were under the impression a tornado might take a track through downtown Delaware. So even if our office across the road here took a hit, we still had the capabilities of county to respond to 911 calls, which I thought that was amazing proactivity on behalf of your dispatchers. Once the tornado went through, Scott and I did a little bit of an initial assessment where we were aware of damages, and we were out there probably a half hour after storms moving out of the county, trying to drive around to get a path of the tornado. That process took a few hours, during which we met with Trustee O'Brien in Berlin Township. We then met with the fire chief over of BST&G Fire District, because he informed us that we had a lot of displaced people at the campground. The Red Cross did amazing work getting a Red Cross shelter set up that night. We were ready to go with that by 2 in the morning. And then just kind of were continuing to assess damages as the evening went on and the morning after. Our first priority was to do damage assessments, figure out how bad is bad and what are the impacts to our townships, our municipalities, and also our residents. On Saturday, we had the State Emergency Management Agency out supporting us with damage assessment teams who were able to observe over 250 properties in our county that were impacted in some way, shape, or form from this tornado. Thankfully, most of that damage, which properties were affected by trees going down or some minor siding damage. I understand if it's your siding damage, it's not minor to you. In terms of homes that were significantly damaged by this tornado, we identified 25 across the county, 14 of which were uninsured, unfortunately. So I have a team meeting today here in about 2 hours to kind of discuss some strategies and next steps regarding those folks. The Red Cross has been out and about these past few days, continuing to provide support as they could, especially in Galena, which was hardest hit. We're continuing to kind of work with our townships and municipalities on identifying and working through any of their continuing unmet needs. Priority today, of course, is going to be just focusing on debris management and where are the remaining things that need done. And we're also going to be working to assess costs associated with the county as well. How much damages did the county, township, and municipal infrastructure take? What were overtime wages, and would there be possibly any kind of assistance? Also for homeowners, we've been running a call center in our office since Saturday morning, allowing people an opportunity to call in damages as well as talk about any unmet needs. We have a lot of people who still need some assistance dealing with trees that are down on their properties. We have a group, the Southern Baptist Disaster Relief Corps, who will be coming in starting tomorrow to work with us and kind of assess the properties we've identified as needing that assistance. And they'll be able to bring in some chainsaw support to help people cut up trees as well for those who need that. So that's kind of what we've been working on these past few days. I would just ask the board if you have any specific questions for me at this time.
Well, I just want to give that number. It's the storm damage reporting number. We've got 2 numbers, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That 740-833-2137. And the second number is 740-833-2138. And that way, who should be calling that number?
So at this point, we've already been able to complete the damage assessments with the state, and we're pretty confident that we know where the swath is. I am more interested right now in the folks who need help with managing trees. If you need help cutting up trees that have fallen on your yard, do us a favor and give us a call so we can pass your information on to some of these relief groups coming in. One of the challenges that we're still working our way through is these groups will cut up trees. They're not able to remove the debris from the property, but they can stack logs and all that. But we're going to see if we can find some backup solutions there in case some residents still need help moving that off. Just not sure what that's going to look like at this time.
Okay. And I believe you had an ask of us today.
Yes, this morning I come before you asking the county to declare a state of emergency, much like the governor has done. And what this will do is a couple things for me. Administratively, if throughout the rest of the recovery process we need to do certain procurement methods, it allows county agencies to go with any of the disaster procurement protocols in our policies. as we use volunteers for various things. It'll make sure that if they get hurt on the job, that they're still going to have some form of coverage through BWC. And it's also just a statement to the community reiterating what we've all up here said, that we are all taking this seriously. We're working together to help our communities recover.
With that, Jennifer, would you read the resolution?
Resolution number 24-208, in the matter of declaring a disaster and state of emergency in Delaware County, Ohio, following the tornado on the evening of March 14th, 2024.
So moved.
And second, do you have any comments?
Yes, this is definitely needed, and I just want to thank you, Alex, for being so proactive, and Scott too.
Yes.
Your assistant, and I received a call Thursday night about 11 o'clock from Berlin Township asking to be in touch with you, and because they were hit so hard. And so I called you, you promptly answered, and you were already traveling in Berlin Township. So we were able to hook you up with Berlin and continue the storm damage evaluation. So thank you so much for your leadership.
Absolutely.
And I just want to add you mentioned 911. Coincidentally, that township meeting Thursday night, 911 director is the one that spoke. We are so fortunate to have such quality, and that includes you. You've been in this position a year?
Just
Yeah.
about.
And
Right.
we are fortunate enough to have made some really good hires when we lose people to the state, and you're one of those. And the applause you just received is exemplary of how much we appreciate the job you've done. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And as well as everybody in the room the roles you played as well. So thank each and every one of you.
Before we vote, I do have to thank two people on our staff, our Deputy Administrator, Eric Hostetler, and also our Director of Communications, Jane Hawes, and her assistant and coordinator, Eric Wentz. They worked also throughout the weekend. I know Jane and her team did.
And they were force multipliers for us, and I greatly appreciate both of them.
Oh, great.
And I'm going to add Chris Bosserman. We had breakfast that next morning, and he
Oh, my
talked
gosh.
about using the trucks, getting the wood trees off the streets. So just kind of reinforced the job that they did, and they had a long night as well. So thank everybody.
Yeah.
With that, I call for vote.
Vote on motion 24-208. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye,
Mr. Merrill?
Aye. Thank you very much.
thank you. Are there any questions from the audience for any of our experts who are here? Alex? Okay.
Okay, thank you. Then
All
we'll
right.
move.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. So appreciate it. So appreciate your time and all the efforts that you have put into recovery.
I will add, Olin Tangi, school superintendent, I called him yesterday to invite him. They have a lot on their plate right now. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, someone may know better than I believe the schools are all opening this morning. I believe that's correct. And that's quite an accomplishment based on the damage I heard was out there. So it's good to hear our schools are back up and our students will be back getting educated as well. So with that, let's proceed.
All right, that brings us to item number 3. Resolution number 24-209, in the matter of approving purchase orders and announce certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM APR 0315.
So moved.
Second, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 24-209. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-210, in the matter of approving travel expense request.
So moved.
Second, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 24-210. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-211, in the matter of approving an agreement between the Delaware County Sheriff's Office, the Delaware County Board of Commissioners, and American Correctional Association for accreditation services.
So moved.
Second, discussion, vote. Oh, excuse me,
You're fine.
go ahead.
Hi, Miguel Roy with the Sheriff's Department. I was just here if you have any questions regarding that.
I have no questions. Any
Okay.
questions?
No.
Call the vote.
Vote on motion 24-111. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-212, in the matter of approving an agreement and first addendum between the Delaware County Sheriff's Office, the Delaware County Board of Commissioners, and Target Solutions Learning LLC for Learning Management System.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
I do want to, would you make certain that, that you give our regards to the sheriff?
I sure
know
will.
He's very busy.
Yes.
But I know he called a group together the afternoon, Friday afternoon.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? Then they were coordinating, I believe.
I wasn't very involved with that, but yes, they were working very hard coordinating together, and I know that at the end of the day, he did report in. I did hear that everyone, just the way everyone worked together and pulled together, he was very proud of to see everyone in the community and just within the office.
Just-
The extra, they did bring some deputies in early, just some, everyone was working around the clock to
Oh,
get everything coordinated, so.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Boy, that's great.
Call for the vote? Did we vote on that?
No, not yet. Vote on motion 24-212. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 24-213, in the matter of approving change order number 1 with Bonded Chemicals Incorporated.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
Morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Mag, Director of Environmental Services. So this is an agreement, it's a one-year extension with no change in price. We currently spend $2.59 per gallon on sodium hypochlorite, which is the chemical that we're extending. We spend about $15,000 a year total at our plants in this chemical.
Any questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 24-213. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-214, in the matter of approving the amended and reinstated subdividers agreement for North Star Prestwick Road Phase 1.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
So the developer wants to split this into two separate phases. They previously submitted a subdividers agreement for Phase 1 and Phase 2, but Phase 1 is complete, and they would like to start building homes, so we're splitting Phase 2 out. It's in North Star, north of Wilson Road, west of Galena Road.
Okay.
Question or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 24-214. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-215, in the matter of approving the sanitary sewer subdividers agreement for Clarksville Crossing Section 1, Phase A and B.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
So this is a development just north of that new Ohio Health Complex, east of Sawmill Parkway. It is an 18-inch sewer that will eventually be able to take the flow north of this area. Eventually, there'll be a future pump station that flows into this 18-inch. So the developer is getting oversizing tap credits for it being an 18-inch when they don't need that large of a size. The total tap credits are $486,385.
Questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 24-215. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-216, in the matter of approving a service agreement with United Survey Incorporated for sewer repair services.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
So this is a groundwater defect that we found in one of the sewers. It is along Wilson Road as well, between Kenley and Big Blue Stem Way. We're estimating the repair to fix this leak to be about $59,000. And this was we did a bidding situation on this. And so that we're hiring United Survey and expecting this work to be complete within about 2 months.
Questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 24-216. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-217, in the matter of approving a professional services agreement with DLZ Ohio Incorporated for on-call construction inspection services.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
This is our 2024 through 2025 residential, and we'll do a little bit of capital inspection work on this contract. It's $200,000, the majority of which is paid by the developers through the inspection fees that they pay for their projects.
Any questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 24-217. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-218, in the matter of authorizing the use of a procurement card for the regional sewer district.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
We've recently hired a new construction and permitting specialist, so this is to get her a P card to replace the one of the employee that has left.
Very good. Questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 24-218. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Res-
Tiffany.
Thank you.
Resolution number 24-219, in the matter of declaring personal property obsolete, unfit, or not needed for public use in the intent of selling such property via internet auction or disposal of property at no value.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Good morning, John Melvin, Director of Facilities. I have for you a short list of vehicles and some equipment that is no longer in use, and we're going to put it on Gov Deals for disposal.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-219, Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-220, in the matter of approving a service agreement between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners and Buckeye Paving Company for parking lot blacktop maintenance at various county facilities.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
As noted, this is kind of our summer paving project list for Buckeye Paving. It's addressed some general maintenance on several of our parking lots throughout the county properties.
Yeah, it looks like it's more for patchwork, et cetera.
Yeah, it's a lot of reseal and striping work.
Okay, very good. Call for the vote.
Vote on motion 24-220, Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-221, in the matter of approving the cash lease agreement between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners and Heritage Farms Incorporated for the cropland of the Delaware County Home Farmland and the cropland of the Transfer Station Farm.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
We did receive a total of 5 bids for the county farmland cash lease. Heritage Farm was the high bidder at $301 per acre. Recommend approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-221. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Resolution number 24-222, in the matter of approving drainage maintenance petition and ditch maintenance assessment for Cheshire Woods, Section 4, Phase A.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Lee Bodnar with the Engineers Office. For your consideration, this stormwater drainage maintenance position is for Cheshire Woods, Section 4, Phase A, and it's a 55.4 acre area located off of Cheshire Road in Cheshire Woods subdivision, which is west of Rome Corners Road in Berkshire Township. The petition was submitted by 100% of the property owners, and we would recommend your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-222. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-223, in the matter of establishing maintenance bonds and releasing construction bonds for Berlin Farm Section 1 and Woodcrest Crossing Section 5.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, again, for your consideration, Berlin Farm Section 1 is a 49-lot subdivision located off of the northeast corner at the intersection of Berlin Station Road and Rollison Pyatt Road Extension, and that's in Berlin Township. Woodcrest Crossing, Section 5, is a 45-lot subdivision located in the Crestwood Crossing subdivision, which is south off of Clarkshaw Road, west of Sawmill Parkway in Liberty Township. This resolution establishes the one-year maintenance bond and releases the construction bond, and we would recommend your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-223. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-224, in the matter of approving right-of-way work permit summary sheet.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Yes, Commissioner, only 3 standard utility right-of-way permits were submitted with nothing remarkable to share, and we would recommend your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-224. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-225, in the matter of awarding a bid and approving a contract between the Delaware County Commissioners and DR Lawn Care LLC for the 2024-2025 roadside milling north.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, for your consideration, this resolution and the following resolution speaks to the north and south sections of the county as divided by State Route or U.S. Route 36. They're split, the bids are split in an effort to help smaller companies maybe take a bite of this contract rather than submit it all as one contract so that a larger company would have to bid on it. It opens up the door for others to bid, which then trickles down to help our cost savings. That being said, the north section contract was let out, or the bid was let out on January and received by the same company that procured the contract last year, and for the north section it's $59,408.80. Last year, the same company provided its cost for a total of $54,930.96. So there was an increase in both sections of the county that amounted to about 8%. So the increase was minimal in comparison with the increases we've sustained with inflationary costs.
Sure.
So we would recommend your approval on the north section.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-225. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-226, in the matter of awarding a bid and approving a contract between the Delaware County Commissioners and Lawn Care LLC for the 2024-2025 roadside mowing south.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, again, this is the same company that bid this contract last year and was successful. This year's contract is $61,689.40. Last year, the contract was $56,968.50, and again, a total of 8% increase for both sections, and we would recommend your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-226. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-227, in the matter of approving a cooperative project agreement by and between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners and Union County for resurfacing of Moore Road and Watkins Road.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Yes, Commissioners, this cooperative agreement between Union County and the Board of Commissioners for the improvement and construction that will lead to a single-lane roundabout at the intersection of Watkins Road, which is in Union County, Moore Road, and Concord Road, which is in Concord Township. This project totals $181,700 with Union County's share of $38,300 and Delaware County's share of the balance, and we would recommend your approval. This is a great cooperative effort between two counties, and it will serve our residents well.
Any questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 24-227. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, because of the Board of Commissioners' cooperation and efforts in hiring good staff and good people in their positions, we're in better shape because of it. So thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
That brings us to administrator reports.
And I know Deputy Administrator Don will be very eloquent and have a lot to say,
I actually have nothing today, thank you.
but you were eloquent. Commissioner Lewis.
Yes. I was also at the heavily attended township meeting on Thursday. Boy, I was sitting right next to our EMA director, and then on the other side was our 911 director, and then our EMS, and then our executive assistant, Allie, was there. And so I must say that Alex was watching his phones very closely and giving me updates. So fortunately, we all left that meeting and got home safely. It's not something you want to happen after, right? Yeah.
Well, Ally and I left a little later because we did a tour for about a dozen people, and we're inside the building, so I really had no idea what was going on outside the building, other than my phone going off a couple of times. And we left, got in the parking lot, the western sky was lit up constantly, and the thunder seemed unending. And little do we know, as we went home, and Ally had to go to the east, so but she made it safely, and as did everyone else that was there. And Lauren did a great job speaking that evening, did a
Yes,
great
she
job
did.
of illustrating and the job and the role that 911 plays. And little do we know, we're going to get a firsthand view of that later in the evening. I was also at a Corsa board on Friday morning, and remind everybody that tomorrow is the election day, and if you haven't voted already, be sure and vote. And with that, I don't believe we have need for executive.
We do not.
With that, then without objection, we are adjourned.